All right, what is up, everybody? We are back with another edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, I want to be talking about some NBA teams that are currently on different streaks. I'm going to call it NBA teams that are hot and not. So I'm going to give 3 teams that have been playing really good recently, teams that are hot, and 3 teams that have been playing not good recently, teams that are not hot. And it just gives me an excuse to kind of talk about some of the big topics, I guess, big team topics in the NBA. That's what we're doing here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views on the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. We upset a lot. Link to my Twitters, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. All right, first team we're going to start with is the Dallas Mavericks. They are the hottest team in the NBA right now. They're currently on a 6-game win streak, which is the longest in the NBA currently. And overall, they've won 10 of their last 11 games. They jumped up to 15-8, third in the Western Conference. Now, I made an entire video about them yesterday. If you want to go back and watch that and really have me get really in depth on this team, then you can go back and watch yesterday. It's called The Dallas Mavericks Should Be Feared. But I'll still talk about them here today a little bit. But yeah, they won 10 of their last 11 games. They've been on fire after a 5-7 start to the season where things were not looking amazing. They have got it together. And you got to give a lot of credit for this hot streak to the role players and to the others on this team. You know, obviously we know what Luka and Kyrie are going to do, but they started majority of this streak and this hot stretch without Luka Doncic. Luka had to miss a week due to a wrist injury, and that's when they really started to find their rhythm and get going. And I said it yesterday's video. I think it was a blessing in disguise that Luka got hurt and had to miss a couple games, you know, because it felt like start the season, the others weren't really performing like the others, you know. And even there's a quote. Jason Kidd had a quote after a close game they lost. I can't remember. I think it might be the Phoenix game where they lost on ESPN. They lost by like 1 point. But he said, like, man, we just need someone on the bench to do something. Basically saying we don't have any, besides Luka and Kyrie, we don't have anything right now. We just need someone to do something. And with Luka out, it kind of put the pressure on everybody else to be like, oh, we have to step up. And they've come out and they perform very well. Kyrie Irving, for one, has been the most consistent player on this team. He deserves to be an all-star, should be in the All-NBA conversation, give you 24, 5, and 5 on almost 50, 40, 90 shooting. He has been incredible, you know? But the others are really stepped up. PJ Washington, showing why he's so important to this team. He's been great in this hot stretch. He's had some big moments on offense and defense. A guy that can stretch the floor, shooting 39% from 3. Also can get to the rim and go get a bucket. He also has been their best perimeter defender as well. And he shows why he's so important to this team. I feel like every game, it brings a lot of energy on this court. The big men, Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford, one of the better 2-man big rotations they have in the league. Both those guys just know their job and do their job amazingly. They're going to shoot the ball efficiently. They're going to rebound the ball. They're going to play amazing defense. They're great rim protectors. And they're going to pass the ball pretty solidly. You know, Derek Lively is starting now. He deserves that starting spot because he is such a fantastic basketball player. High IQ already at 20 years old. But Daniel Gafford is also really good as well. Then the bench that stepped up. Najee Marshall. They call him the knife for a reason. He's an amazing, versatile player. He's come in when Luka was out. He had a streak of like 20-point games and looked like their second best player. Like it was crazy. He was a guy that, you know, he's a guy that mostly is going to be like a connecting piece and a shooter, but he's also shown if he needs to get in his bag and needs to create for something, he can do that. So you have Najee Marshall doing that, and he's also going to bring you a lot defensively. You have Quinn Grimes has really stepped up. You know, he's shooting like over 40% from 3 recently. He's shooting 43% from 3 on the season. He's become a valuable and core rotational role player. Spencer Dinwiddie in the last like 5 or 6 games has been hot. This guy that started, he wasn't even in the rotation to start the season, and now he's finding his way and looks like the confident net Spencer Dinwiddie that we've seen. Then you got guys like Jane Hardy, Maxi Kleber that come in and give you some spot minutes and do some things. The only thing that could make this team even better is if Klay Thompson was doing stuff. Klay Thompson is shooting the ball not good right now. He has just not been able to find it at all this season, which is tough. But you got to think it's Klay Thompson. You know, you got to think it's Klay Thompson, and at some point, he's gonna have a big moment at some point throughout the season. I mean, good thing is they don't really need Klay right now, and they've won 10 of their last 11. So you got to be like, hey, at least we're doing it without a starter really performing at the level that we're expecting them to. Yeah, this Mavericks team is gonna be really tough to beat, especially if they're playing defense like this. Their defense just gotten so much better, looks a lot more locked in, and if the others are really contributing, they're gonna be a very very hard team to play against and a very hard team to beat in a playoff series. The next team we're going to is the Los Angeles Lakers. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak and overall have lost 7 of their last 9 games. Things are slowly unraveling for this team after a pretty solid start. They started off 3-0. Things are looking great. They've been very streaky early in the year. Lose 3, win 3, lose 2, win 2, lose 3. Like, they've been very streaky. But overall, it's just been consistently bad over the past 9 games. Lost 7 of 9. Last night was kind of a breaking point, I feel like, for them. Last, honestly, 3 games have been kind of breaking points for them. The loss to Minnesota by almost 20, or well, by almost 30 was very, very tough. Then just got absolutely destroyed by the Heat, who haven't even been that good this year. And then last night was a really, really tough one to lose to Atlanta in overtime. So many opportunities to close out and win this game, and just not being able to rebound, bad defensive communication, all that stuff. But yeah, there have been a multitude of reasons for this. Their defense has been very bad. They are one of the worst defenses in the league in terms of rating and all that stuff. A lot of miscommunication. The perimeter defense just is not that good overall either. Like, Anthony Davis is one of the top defensive players in the league, but besides that, they don't really have anything defensively. And then offensively, it's just been kind of, Anthony Davis has come down to earth. Last night he had a really good game, but he had come down to earth after having a MVP like start to the season. He has been slowly coming back down and down and down. He had a 7 game stretch. He averaged 18 and 11 on 43, 15, 76 shooting splits. The free throw attempts went so down, is a thing. In the first, I want to say 20, not 20, the first 14 games of the season, he was giving you 31 points a game. He was shooting 11 free throws per game. 11 free throws per game. And then after that, he hasn't had a game where he's had more than 8 free throw attempts, which was last night. After that, he's been taking about 4 or 5 free throw attempts per game. So free throw attempts have cut in half. The shooting hasn't gone down, but he had a good game last night, so maybe this will wake him back up, which they desperately need Anthony Davis right now. LeBron, definitely the age is catching up to him, which it should. It should. He's about to be 40 years old in like a couple weeks, man. He should not have to keep having to put up 27 point triple doubles to win games. Like last night he had also another amazing game, and they lost. You know, like definitely he wasn't a shooting slump. The last 2 games have been good. Fortunately, they've been 2 losses, but it's just really tough. And then besides that, they don't really have anything consistent. Like their brightest spot after LeBron and AD is Don Connect, who's a rookie, who shouldn't even like have this much opportunity and be in this position, but they kind of have to be because they have no one else. Austin Reeves has been just kind of eh. He hasn't been bad. He's been fine, I guess, but he just hasn't really taken the jump that we expected a couple years ago when he had that big playoff series. D'Angelo Russell, obviously, you can tell his days are numbered in LA. Just the fit is just not there. Rui Hachimura has been all right, I guess, but again, kind of like Austin Reeves, like he hasn't really popped like we expected him to. And then the bench, they just don't really have a bench. Max Christie is like, this is his first time getting real minutes, and he's in year 4, year 3, year 4. So you can't really, you can't really fault him for having bad games. This is the first time he's actually been getting like real consistent rotational minutes. Gabe Vincent, he had a good game last night. His best game in like years last night. Because honestly, I don't know what Gabe Vincent really does on the court. Cam Reddish is good defensively, but offensively still, he's averages 3 points per game. It's just it's a lot bad. There's a lot bad with this Laker team, and straight up, just this team is just not good enough to compete. Not good enough to be a contender, and they're gonna have to make some moves and do some adjustments unless they just want to stay in this mid arc, I guess. I don't know, and waste another LeBron season and Anthony Davis season. But it's been all bad. It's been a lot bad for this team, you know. And I don't really know how you fix it. I don't really know what the avenue is to go and find. I mean, do they just bite the bullet and do the Zach LaVine trade and just say, screw the salary cap, screw the money, all that. We just need someone else. Is that what you do? Do you just try to build around the margins, go get Cam Johnson and stuff? How much does that really affect your ceiling? I don't know. Or like I don't really know what you do with this Laker team. So Rob Pelinka's got a lot of stuff to figure out. I feel like we say that every year for the past couple years, but he's got a lot of stuff to figure out because this team is just not it right now. Flipping over to the team that beat the Lakers last night, the Atlanta Hawks are on a 6-game win streak. And are we finding out, are they actually this good? Before, we just knew them as Kingslayers, giant killers. They beat the Celtics on Trae Young. They beat the Cavs twice, and it was like, dang, is this team like just they're just gonna play really good against good teams? But they're showing, hey, they actually just might be a good team. They're 6 games. They beat the Cavaliers twice to start this win streak. One of them in the NBA Cup to beat Charlotte, New Orleans, Milwaukee, and then last night an overtime win against the Lakers. So they're actually playing not the greatest competition. They did beat Cleveland twice. Milwaukee has been hot, but they're showing like, hey, are they actually a good team? They're not 13-11 sitting fifth in the Eastern Conference. You know, there's been a couple changes a little bit with this team, very minor changes, but still good. Trae Young is evolving a little bit. He just we know Trae Young is not an efficient shooter. We just know that we know that Trae Young is never going to be a 50-49. He's not going to be an efficient shooter. With the shots he takes, it's just not going to happen. But over the stretch, it feels like he's changing it up a little bit where he's not really shooting the ball a whole lot anymore. Like he's not taking 27 shots, 28 shots. Like he's been having a lot of moments where he'll go quarters or minute stretches where he's like, you know what? I'll take a shot. I'm fine with taking one shot, a deep 3-pointer, if I can get everyone else involved. He's been getting everybody else involved, and it's been working. He's averaging 12 assists per game. We already know he's been one of the better playmakers, but he's just taking it to another level. Where he's finding everybody at an elite level. Jalen Johnson has really been good, giving you almost basically 20, 10, and 5. You know, Dyson Daniels, we already know what he's been doing. He had some big moments last night in the Laker game where he had a big three, then got an offensive foul, and then got a layup. I think was that overtime or fourth quarter to like tie the game, send the game to overtime. But Dyson Daniels has just been absolutely elite. The perfect guard next to Trae Young, honestly. And then DeAndre Hunter. DeAndre Hunter has been a huge factor in this win streak. He has really found a role for himself as being a six-man bucket getter off the bench. He's giving you 19 points per game, shooting the ball dang near 50, 40, 90. I mean, 49, 43, 89 shooting splits. I mean, that's great. That's great. He's just been such a key factor off the bench for being a three-point shooter, but also being able to put the ball in for a little bit and get buckets. Bogdanovich is back, which obviously he's one of the better six men in the league when he's going. And then Onyeka Okongwu, has been good. Like the defense has been not horrible, which is something nice. They went up. They have like about an average defense now in rating, which does wonders for this team. Honestly, like they're never going to be a top defensive team, but having just an okay defense is really good, especially with the offensive firepower they have. And then yeah, just relying on defense, and Trae Young is getting everybody involved. Like something like Jalen Johnson looks really, really good. Dyson Daniels obviously is an MIP candidate. DeAndre Hunter is playing the best basketball of his career. Like there's just been so many different things. Trae Young is evolving his game so well right now that he doesn't really need to have 35, 40-point explosions. Even though last night was a 31-20 game, he had a 20-20 game against the Cavaliers. Like he doesn't really need to have those huge, insane performances anymore, scoring wise, because now it's like we have Jalen Johnson to give you 20 to 25. Dustin Daniels can go off and give you 20. DeAndre Hunter can give you 20 points. Bogdanovich has a game where he hits 4 or 5 threes. Zaki Rasashi can have a game where he has 18 points. Like they have so many guys now performing at great levels, and when they're playing defense like this at a solid level, they're gonna be they look like a really good team right now. So we'll see how real this streak is. But currently, right now, they're playing some really good basketball. Going back over to the teams that are not hot, the Golden State Warriors. The Golden State Warriors, they lost last night, or a 2-game losing streak. I'm sorry, not a 2-game losing streak. They lost last night, but overall they've lost 6 of their last 7 games. After starting off as the number 1 seed in the West, they were 12-3. Everything was going good. They have kind of like Lakers slowly been unraveling as the season has progressed. For a couple reasons. One, the fourth quarter, the clutch offense has just been bad for this team. I mean, over this losing stretch, to the Spurs, where they had a pretty sizable lead, ended up losing by 10. The Brooklyn Nets, they had a pretty nice lead in the second half. Then Dennis Schroeder turned on, and they ended up losing that game. The Thunder, again, without Steph Curry, where they stayed in for most of the game, couldn't survive in the fourth quarter. They lost to the Suns. That was just them getting beat by the Suns straight up. The Nuggets, they had a pretty nice lead, were in control for a lot of the game, and then the Nuggets just took it away from them, swept the rug under their feet. And then last night they got smacked out by Minnesota, without Steph Curry. But it's been really tough for this Warrior team, and kind of the flaws that I feel like it's the flaws that we expected this team to have coming into the season are kind of being shown now, like just not having anybody next to Steph that can consistently create and be a star player. You know, like Buddy Hield had a really hot stretch to start the year. He's just kind of back to normal now. And after that, there's just not really anything else. The young guys, Brandon Pajemski and Jonathan Kuminga, that we expect to take big jumps this year, haven't done it. Brandon Pajemski has not really had a good sophomore season. Jonathan Kuminga hasn't really had. I mean, he had the big game against the Rockets on Thursday, but besides that, he just hasn't really found it yet. You know, and he just hasn't really taken that MIP type jump that we expected him to come into the season, which is a huge thing. After the bench just isn't really great. They still the lack of big man play and consistent starting center really hurts them. You know, Steph also hasn't been the greatest as of recently, but it's Steph Curry. You know, but he hasn't been the greatest throughout this stretch either. He's missed a couple games in this stretch, so like it's just things are slowly starting to come. The defense, just the elite defense that they started the season with, has slowly been coming down. Just a lot of things have been messing up this Warrior team. You know, and right now, all of a sudden, we're looking at them at 13-9. They're still fifth in the Western Conference, but one or two losses and they can drop down to the 9 seed. That's how close the Western Conference is. They were just, I think, like seventh yesterday, or so. Like, yeah, it's tough. It's gonna be tough for this team to survive along with the top of the West, especially with guys like teams like OKC, Denver, Houston, like Memphis, slowly finding their rhythm. Minnesota, we're gonna talk about in a couple minutes, is slowly finding something a little bit. So like they're gonna have to make a move fast. That's really the only thing, making a move. And yesterday there was a report came out that said the Warriors are actively searching, trying to find a second star to put next to Steph. Who is that second star? We don't really know. The only ones right now that probably could be are like Zach LaVine and Brandon Ingram, which are good players, but how much does that really change your ceiling if you're the Warriors? I don't really know a whole lot. But yeah, the Warriors just slowly unraveling. Again, the team that we expected coming to the season is finally kind of showing up a little bit. The start of the year was really, really good, and they still can find a way. Like the season's not over yet for Golden State. Obviously, we're still in December, but the flaws are definitely being shown. Flaws are definitely being shown, and little loopholes are being unraveled a little bit. So they're gonna have to make a move. Jimmy, that's what it's gonna have to be. It's gonna have to be making a move because this team, for the rest of the year, I don't know how much they're doing in terms of competing for a championship like we think they are supposed to be doing with Steph Curry. Down to our last two teams. Last team that's hot, the Minnesota Timberwolves. They've won 4 games in a row. All of a sudden, they're back over 500 at 12-10. And is this the start of them going up? Obviously we've known they had struggles. They started off the season 8-10. I made a video about it. Things have just not been looking good. This does not look the same Minnesota Timberwolves team that we expected, coming into the season. But the last 4 games, things are looking better. It's been all against West Coast teams. They're on a crazy West Coast trip right now. They beat the Clippers by 1 in the NBA Cup. Then they smacked up the Lakers by almost 30 by 29. Then they beat the Clippers, smacked them up again by 28. And last night they smacked up the Warriors by 17. So it's been 3 dominant wins in a row, and then 1 really nice close win against the Clippers. But they play the Warriors and Lakers again the next 2 games. So they get all their West Coast games just out of the way right now, I guess. But it's been looking better. The defense has been there. They have a defensive rating of 87 in the last 4 games, which is absolutely crazy. Obviously, it's not going to stay like that. But the defense has been better. I mean, they haven't had anybody score over 92 points in the last 4 games, where before these stretch of games, they only had 2 games this season where they allowed, less than 100 points. But they've just done it 4 games in a row. So the defense is getting better. The defense has shown they played a lot better in the fourth quarter. Anthony Edwards has been really good over the last couple games. And I don't know, it just feels like this team is kind of pressing a little bit, which makes sense because they're struggling so much. It feels like this team has a little bit more energy now, and they're kind of realizing, hey, we're struggling right now. We got to get it together at some point. Let's just do it right now. Against the Lakers, Warriors, ESPN, like national TV games, stuff like, let's just kill them right now. And show everybody, hey, we're here. So obviously this is just a hot stretch. This could be just a hot stretch. 4 games in a row, great defense. This could be something that's just nothing, and they go back to doing whatever, or this could be the start of something. This could be the start of, hey, they go on a stretch, or they win 7 of their next 8 games, 7 of their next 9 games. All of a sudden, they're top 5 in the Western Conference, and it's like, oh, here they are. We just have to wait a little bit for this Timberwolves team. So this could be just one of those. This could be a start of something. This could be the point where you look back on the season and be like, this 4 game stretch, this West Coast trip, where they went 5-1, 6-0 in this Western Conference trip, this is where things started to turn right for the Timberwolves. This could be that. So we'll monitor it. We'll see. It's only a little 4 game win streak right now, but gotta acknowledge it because there's been a lot of talk about the Timberwolves. So we gotta acknowledge if we acknowledge when they're bad, we gotta acknowledge when they're good. And the final team we talk about that's not hot. We gotta talk about the Washington Wizards a little bit. Eventually, I'm gonna make a whole video about them eventually, and really go in. Because right now they're only at 16. They're gonna get to 20 losses. They're gonna get to 20 losses in a row. And once they do that, that's when I'm gonna make my video. But they're currently 2-18. They've lost 16 games in a row. They suck. Straight, they suck. They have not won a game since the day before Halloween. They haven't won a game since the day before Halloween. We are about to reach the second week of December, and they still have not. They went an entire month of November without winning a game. Honestly, games haven't even been really close. Like their closest, like out of all their losses this season, they've only had one loss. Out of the 16 losses, only one of them have been by single digits. And that was the Spurs when Wemby had 50. Every other loss has been by double digits. They lost to all their losses this season, all 18 of their losses. Boston by 20, Cleveland by 19, Miami by 20, Golden State by 13, Memphis by 24, Orlando by 27, Houston by 15. Then they got the 9 by the Spurs, 12 to Atlanta, 20 to Detroit, 28 to New York, 12 to Boston, 12 to Indiana, 19 to Chicago, 26 to the Clippers, 10 to the Bucks, 31 to the Cavs, and then 36 to the Mavericks. It has not. They haven't been in close. They haven't been in close games at all this season. All their losses have been just them getting beat, like beat. They beat the Hawks twice back to back, and things were looking a little bit like, oh shoot, are the Wizards gonna be? I was actually excited a little bit for the Wizards after the first couple games. I was like, man, could they be an exciting little like they're gonna win only 15 games, but are they gonna be exciting? No, they suck. They just straight up suck. They're bad. Like they're like garbage bad, garbage can bad. Which I understand they're supposed to be bad. Like they're supposed to be bad. Go capture the flag. Go Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, whoever. Go get that number 1 pick, Washington. They desperately need it. But oh my goodness, like it's not even. It's bad. Like they don't look like a NBA team bad, you know. And I'm gonna be so honest with you right now. I'm gonna be so 100% honest right now. I'm watching. If you're a Wizard fan watching this, I'm so sorry. I legitimately don't think they're gonna win 10 games this season. I legitimately think they might end this season like 8-74. Cause this is like next levels of just horror. Like the Pistons, like we know the Pistons last year. The Pistons lost 28 games in a row last year. They won 14 games. I know that. This team looks worse because at least last year with the Pistons, at least they were in games at some point, and then the fourth quarter came in the last 5 minutes, and they just got deep. Like the Wizards aren't even in games. Like the Wizards aren't even like it's not even like going in halftime down 2. Like they're going in halftime down like 9 and 10. Like they're getting their butts just kicked around. Like it's not even like they're getting like I don't even know how to describe it. Like they're just getting beat down brutally. Like literally like it's literally like the Celtics playing against like the like high school like your local high school team right now. Like that's how the Wizards look. Like they just look bad. And again, I'm gonna make a whole video eventually going really in depth and really in. But oh my, like this, like I legitimately don't think this team is gonna win 10 games. I legitimately think there's a chance that this team wins single digit games this season. Single digit games. When's the last time we seen a single digit win season? Like the 76ers in like 15, I think, in 2016. Then they go like 9-73, I think. Hold on, I gotta look this up right now. When's the last worst NBA records of all time? I'm sorry, I quit Google real quick. I gotta look at who when's the last time someone won single digit games? It was back in 2000 and oh no, actually no, the last season won 10 games. The last time it was that Bobcat team, that infamous Bobcat team, the worst team in NBA history. They went 7-59 in 2012. 7-59. That's the last time someone won single digit games was 2012. It's been 12, 13 years. I think we might have it again. Cause oh my yeah, this team is really really bad. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, like, turn notifications, do all stuff like that. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.